We are going live in 5, in 4, in 3, 2, 1. Yo, yo, yo. Tell me what you know. Welcome to the Sunshine Show. Woo! Tonight, I have a very, very, very special guest. I have the most amazing, the most phenomenal, the one, the only. OMG, you guys, Billy Sheehan in the house. Woo!
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to hanging and answering some questions and just having a good time.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I want to also introduce my co-host, Bass Bandicoot in the house. What's up?
Hi, everyone. What's up? What's up? I am talking to Sunshine and Billy, both heroes of mine. Wish I had as cool backgrounds with that many basses. I'll show you real quick. I got a small little thing going on over here, but you know.
There you go.
They work for me. They get me from point A to point B and then to point G if I
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Awesome. I see a lot of people joining in on the chat. What's up, Steve Rose, Lindsay, Patricio? Thank you guys for hanging out. We got plenty of questions. If you guys have any more questions, comments, drop those in the comment section and let's get this chat started. What's up, Tim Peterson? All right, Billy, let's talk all things Billy. OMG, I can't believe you're here with us right now.
Well, I'm glad you're excited.
Oh, we are excited. So for some people that may have been sleeping under a rock the past 30 plus years,
I was going to say more like, yeah, longer.
Can you give the folks at home a little introduction?
Well, from me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like about what I'm doing or what's happening?
Sure, just like a little bit of introduction on yourself, the bands you've played with.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I started in Buffalo, New York, playing in a band called Talas back in the 70s. And we played, mostly a copy band for about a decade. Then we started doing a couple originals, sneaking them in here and there. We managed to get some management that got us listened by Van Halen. And they decided to take us out as their opening act in 1980, the 1980 Invasion. Did about 30 shows with them. There I met David Lee Roth and Ed, of course, and Al and Mike, and amazing guys. They were so kind to us, all of them. And we did good on the tour, too. We actually did a couple of encores and stuff, and it was pretty cool. And then I went back to Talas. We took a shot at it for a while. I took a little break from Talas to go do a tour with UFO in Europe. Came back. We still kept trying to get that record deal and get it going. It just wasn't happening. So we changed the band around, started to get some momentum, and then I always said there's no band I'd ever leave Talas for except for Van Halen. So David Lee Roth called, and I said, close enough. And I was gone. I went out to LA, and we started the Eat 'em and Smile band. We've got Steve Vai involved, who's a dear friend, like a brother to me, and Greg Bissonette, also another brother to me, one of my dearest, most loved persons in my life. And we did great. Eat 'em and Smile. Skyscraper was a little different. Wasn't really my thing. So at the end, we knew I couldn't continue. So I went off and started my own band. I knew Pat Torpey, our drummer, already. I knew Paul Gilbert, the guitar player. I brought them in. And then I looked for a singer. And I found Eric Martin, brilliant singer. And luckily for us, also had great management. Herbie Herbert, one of the most legendary managers in the world. And an incredible producer, Mr. Kevin Elson. We did tons of all the early Journey stuff. And so they did some great records with us. And out of nowhere, as we spoke with Sunshine a little bit earlier, because she used to sing this song as a young lady, we had a hit record with To Be With You, and it changed our lives. And we went up to, Mr. Big made a change at one point, lost a guitar player, got Richie Constant in the band. Band eventually kind of splintered apart, and then we reformed again, original lineup with Paul Gilbert. And in the meantime, I did a band with Richie and Mike Portnoy called the Winery Dogs. And I also have another band with Mike Portnoy and Bumblefoot from Guns N' Roses, a great, amazing guitar player, wonderful guy. Jeff Scott Soto on lead vocals, amazing singer.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Derek Sherinian on keyboards is none better, or few better, that's for sure. That's a band called Sons of Apollo. And couple side projects I've done with Dennis Chambers on drums. It was just with the greatest musician I know. And I've gotten back together with Steve Vai a couple times to do some tours and recording with him also through the years. So
Wow.
done a lot of things. Like I said, I'm very grateful to have been exposed to amazing musicians in all the bands I've been in. They make me look good, so I'm very thankful to them for that. And I've had a wonderful run, and there's more to come. So there you have it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to take in. You guys. I know.
That was a lot.
Take a deep breath. We're all going to get through this together.
I like how there's a comment that says, casually says, so David Lee Roth calls.
Yeah, well, actually, the truth of the matter is he didn't actually, because that's the showbiz version, but he never actually called me. Somebody from his office called my office.
Right.
A cliche, I know.
Yeah,
but,
no, I like it though.
But Dave was, I really owe him a huge debt. He flew me out to LA. Actually, initially he said that wanted me to be in his movie. I thought, what? So I flew out to LA. They drove me to his house to have a meeting, and he goes, well, there is a movie, but that's not really what I wanted to talk to you about. He goes, I quit Van Halen, and I'm starting a band. I was, what? He's a huge Van Halen. And so split down the middle, as sad as I was, I might be included in the new one. So that was bittersweet.
Yes.
So yeah, there was originally going to be a movie too, but in the end, CBS Pictures pulled the financing, and we just went off. And all the songs "I Need Him to Smile" were going to originally be a part of the movie. So, but it was an amazing adventure, and I owe Dave a great debt. He really,
wow,
that's Steve and Greg Bissonette. We all have great regard and love for him and what he did for us. Pretty amazing.
That's an amazing story, man. I was just actually, since Eddie passed, he was my favorite guitar player. And so I watched a bunch of stuff about him. And actually that leads me to a question that I wanted to ask you, was about your early bass builds with the Hagstrom FB and the precision bass.
Oh yeah.
So did you do all that stuff yourself, like the scallop frets and the neck pickup? And
yeah,
because that's very like innovative. Like you formed your own sound because it was like something that didn't exist. So you made it happen. And I admire that a lot. So could you tell me about that experience?
Well, people from my generation, I'm a bit older than you two, actually, a lot older. But we were tinkerers. We did things. We get a piece of gear. The first thing we do is take it apart and look inside and see what it was about. And so I was a big fan of Paul Samwell Smith, someone a lot of the younger players may not know. But he's a bass player in the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds were famous.
Oh yeah.
Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page were in the band, so the big three. And but Paul Samwell Smith was an amazing bass player, and he had this big fat humbucker pickup right here on his Epiphone Rivoli bass, which is like a Gibson EB3. And I loved the sound of it. So when I got my first real bass, the P bass, I noticed there was a space here. I thought, why couldn't I take the pickup of that bass, which I love the sound of too, and put it in here? So I dug a hole, figured out the wiring, and that was that. And but we did a lot of work on our own instruments also because there was no one around. In Buffalo, New York, there was maybe a guitar repairman or two. There was one guy that was rumored to do refretting. But other than that, you had to ship it off somewhere and hope it came back. So,
yeah.
Learn to do it yourself or you're out of luck. So that was a good incentive for everybody to get in there. And when you do that, you kind of fine tune your instrument to yourself, your own sensibility, your own musicality, your hands, your ear, even how it sounds. So it really can help you formulate something that at the time you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to come up with this sound. No, you're just slugging away. Later on, you realize that, it resulted in a sound. I had no idea. That low end, a split clean and distorted, all mixed together. It has worked real well for me, mainly because Talas was a 3-piece band for a long time. Without the rhythm guitar player or keyboard player, I had to do all the extra things. So we would do like a Carry On Wayward Son. I had to.
Oh yeah.
And do the keyboard parts.
Oh, that's incredible.
So we would it would save having to hire another guy. If you make $100 a night and you're a three-piece band, you can walk away with $33 and change. When you add a fourth guy to the band, there's only $25. So we like to keep it at 3. So I learned all the extra little twiddly things and keyboard parts and double lead solos or whatever else, just to save some cash, because we were broke and poor. But still, it also forced me into doing more, so the guitar player had the freedom to just be the guitar player and not have to worry about holding chords together while he soloed. And we all sang too, so we had 3-part harmony and all. So it forced me to innovate and figure out ways to do things that I normally wouldn't.
Wow.
So
cool.
through the years, it's helped. But you know, to a large degree, also I play just regular old bass. You know, where I'm. Hang there. Here we go. There it is. And just hang on the groove with the bass drum. And, you know, unfortunately, when people come to a show and they YouTube the show, they don't post this. They post the solo. So everybody thinks, oh, he ever does a solo. No, isn't that really true?
Oh, no, I've never thought that, man. But that's so cool, because I was going to ask you about the split signal thing. I'm just like, I don't know, dude. It blows me away when people like make their own rig, like you and like Eddie. Anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much the extent of what I wanted to know right now. Sunshine?
No, I was watching. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Say again?
Oh, I thought I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, just one little addition. I'm not sure, and I think there's probably a Van Halen expert that can determine this. I'm not sure when Ed put the quarter underneath his bridge so the vibrato wouldn't go up, so he could only do dive bound. I believe I was backstage with him when he was looking for a quarter.
Oh,
you got a quarter? I go, no. Boy, I wish I would have had a quarter.
That'd be worth a lot, man.
He just drilled a hole in it because he couldn't find a washer, so he drilled a hole in a quarter. But I think now it's been 40 years since more than 40 years since 1980. So
yeah.
my memory is usually pretty good, but I'm not sure. Well, I should find somebody who's an expert and find out at what time did he put that quarter in. So,
wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. On the original Frankenstrat, there's a 25-cent piece in there.
Huh. Cool. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. Sunshine, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Earlier, I was watching some YouTube videos, and you had put one out, how to make a cheap guitar sound expensive. And I watched the video, and it was just so heartwarming, because you're like, it doesn't matter if you have a $4,000 bass or a $300 bass that you put together yourself. There's different techniques and things that you can do to make the bass a little, sound a little better. And I love that video, and so I just wanted to bring that up. Do you do a lot of these videos and encourage people?
Yeah, that was my third one. I have a fourth one that I'm about to post. I might reshoot it again though, because I left some things out that were important about how to tune your bass so it'll stay in tune all night. You don't have to keep tuning in between every song, which drives me crazy. So we go into that. But I'm really glad that people have responded so positively to the how to make a cheap bass play great, or because. Especially now, nobody's been working much, especially musicians, and you don't have a couple $1,000 to drop on a bass. I love my Yamahas, but they're really expensive, and I wish there was a way we could make them cheaper. We've tried a lot, but it's all a lot of very expensive labor in Japan, and they're worth it to me. It's a bass of a lifetime. But if you don't have that money, the bass I did the demonstration on, I bought a body off some website for $50, a neck off the same website for $50. I had some old tuners laying around, a couple of old pickups that I've been bouncing around in my toolkit since the 70s. Slapped it all together, and that thing plays great. It sounds fine, So I do get a lot of email and messages from people in all parts of the world, where they don't have the standard of living that we are so blessed with here in the USA.
Yeah.
So, I know that a bass like this is far, far away from their acquisition. So I want to do that for them too. Even if you have a cheap, crummy old bass with a bowed neck and it doesn't sound right, you can make it play good and you can make it sound great. And a lot of it is in your hands, but there's also that unfortunately, we have a lot of gear acquisition syndrome by people that you think you got to have that $4,000 whatever in order. You don't. You just don't. You can do it on anything. And as I said in the video, you can end up with a cheap bass. You can write a great song. You can have a hit record. You can tour the world. You're a millionaire, and you do and do great things that touch people's hearts and change the world. You don't need $1,000 bass to do it. You can do it on my original P bass that I should have thought it through. It's actually, I have it in another room now because I used it at my master class today. I always bring the original.
Oh, nice.
If people want to take a picture with it and stuff. So I apologize it's not here. But that was $250 with case.
Now, is that the one you refer to as the wife?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But $250 that year was what, about 68? That was like 5,000 now. So but still, it was in striking range that I could buy it. But right now, you can get a decent neck and body and put them together. And if you can't do it yourself, you can find somebody who can do it for you. And because I'd love more people to play and be in bands and do music. It's the greatest thing, as both of you know. You're both musicians, it's just really, it's the good news is now with the pandemic happening now, guitar sales are going crazy.
Oh yeah.
Manufacturers can't make it. So that's a great sign. I think people are being inspired to play. Music is the greatest art form, and the more participants we have, I think the better the world will be. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Wow, you're no objection. For sure. I actually taught music for 10 years, dude, and I couldn't agree more. Like, I think the whole world needs music more than ever, especially right now.
I agree. Oh yeah, yeah, wonderful. All right, what else you got for me?
Okay, so Jeff here is asking, what is your favorite bass? I think you kind of already answered that, but we could talk a little bit more about that.
Well, that P bass is really my foundation bass that everything was built from. But now, and I'm not doing this as a commercial for Yamaha, but yeah, the Attitude basses really are, all the things I did to that bass were brought into this bass, but done correctly. Because I did them as a hack, I pull for the pickup, and I had picks stuck in between the neck and body to hold the neck steady, and there was, it was all. So now this is all the things I wanted on that, but done correctly, and it also has the high E note, because you might not think that's a big important.
Oh,
most basses end on E flat, and most rock and roll is in the key of E, so it's nice to have that E as your top note. Silly, I know, but just
no, I agree.
This neck is modeled after my P bass neck, which is a Telecaster neck. The body is lands on me in the same way when it's on the strap. We laid my P bass on a Xerox machine. That's how long ago that was, to make sure I get the exact measurement between the pickup and the volume knob. So as I'm playing, it's in the exact same place that it had been for me for 20 years prior. So this is very much owes a great debt to that bass and to Leo Fender, and much of it comes from there. But and I have a couple of these. I got a double neck version that I play with Sons of Apollo, which weighs a ton, and but it's a beautiful beast, and I don't mind having it on my shoulder for 2 hours. But
wow. Now, what kind of strap do you have with that?
It actually is not as painful as you might imagine.
Do you have like a super padded strap for that bass?
No, I make my own straps. That's another video. How I get a lot of questions about the straps. I
like how wide it is.
So yeah, it's really wide, so it's comfortable. It's 2 layers sewn together. It's bolted onto the bass, so it can't come off. It doesn't come off. It goes into the case like that. So,
I like it.
And whenever I do a clinic, I always take the bass and hold it up and go, "This will never come off, no matter what." And they all get all panicked. Oh no! But it never. It can't. Basically, it can't.
Wow.
You must have got to unscrew it to take it off. And
wow.
It's
incredible. I know, that was giving me like, whoa! How expensive is that bass?
Well, I have enough confidence. I know the strap is not coming off. It's not going to break. So
cool.
Yeah, it's now I got a new version of them. I'm making out of fire hose. Take a fire hose and flatten it, sew it flat, and then and it's big and thick and giant, and it'll last longer than the player longer than the guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, cool. So you guys, thank you all for hanging out with us. I see your questions and I promise I'm going to get to them. I did want to ask you, Billy, though, I've been watching your videos all day, mostly your solo videos. What's the longest solo that you've ever played?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think one time we were in Indonesia, and Pat Torpy, when you're traveling and sometimes you get food and it doesn't agree with you, and Pat was pretty sick, and I think I had to do an emergency solo.
Oh,
I'm not sure how long it was until we could get him back up on stage again. And then the famous incident at the Atlanta Omni opening up for Rush, Paul Gilbert got the Makita drill with the bits on it, and he was doing his solo, and what the drill in his hand, and what he meant to do in his mind was go like this, like, I can't hear you, to get a cheer for the crowd, but he had the drill in his hand.
Oh, no.
He put his hair up, and his hair got caught in the drill hopelessly. Now he can't let go of the drill because it's heavy and it's going to pull his hair out. His guitar is feeding back like crazy. It's sold out Omni, and he's in the middle and the front of the stage all by himself. So I ran out, grabbed my, said, get behind my amp, and I did my famous emergency bass solo. I'm looking over, making sure he's okay. So unknown to me at the time, when he finally came out, I found out he went back, and the crew guys were there to help him. He's got the drills hopelessly caught in his. So they have a scissors, and Paul goes, no, just hit the reverse button and pull the trigger. So he hit the reverse button, the drill, and boom, back the other way. Now it's twice as tangled. So finally they got the bit out and got it out of his hair, and he came out, and the crowd cheered, and we laughed our asses up. So ever since the next show we played, the guys in Rush put power tools all over the stage. Drills and everything.
That's incredible. Wow.
So I may not have done a long solo, but it certainly was filled a gap that needed to be filled.
Now, did he ever pick up that drill and do that bit again after that?
Yes, and then he did it one time. He wore a wig, and he was going to but the wig caught his hair, and it happened again. And it was
Oh, no.
Come on, well,
That's insane, dude.
Pretty hilarious.
Oh my God, you guys wore wigs back then? I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
But he knew he went back to put the wig on purposely to get the drill stuck in it as comedy. And the drill actually was really designed as comedy. A lot of people get real serious about it. Oh, wait, Van Halen used the drill first. Well, no, he used an electric screwdriver. He didn't play the guitar with it. And there's no animosity. There's no, we did it first. It was meant as a joke, a comedy thing. And so he did it bass and guitar and harmony drill solo. How ridiculous. Meant to be funny.
Right.
Sometimes people get a little too serious, but that's okay.
Yeah, they do, though.
Lindsay says when the band Rush trolls you. Yeah, right.
What's that? Oh, yeah, they sure did. What a wonderful bunch of guys. I got my condolences to Rush fans and everyone concerned with the loss of Neil Peart, and what a wonderful man. And all those guys are the sweetest, giving, generous, talented. What a great. So many times you hear behind the scenes that someone's a jerk and God, he's a pain in the neck and he's a jerk to a crew. These guys are so wonderful and so kind, so generous, so talented. It was an incredible honor for us to be in the same building and to be on the same stage. And we go up in the evening and do the encore. They do the In the Mood. So I'd get up, me and Pat Torpy would get up with Getty and sing. Paul would put a guitar on.
Oh, that's so cool.
We actually did the encore with them. Amazing. They were so kind to us. They didn't have to do that.
Incredible.
Nice. Very cool.
Go ahead, Bass Bandicoot. You want to take the next question?
Sure. So I heard a rumor that you used to have duct tape on the back of your bass or something so it wouldn't wobble around so much while you're doing your thing. Now, is that true?
On the pink Yamaha bass, which wasn't really pink, it was rose blue, but it looked more pink than blue, and I caught some heat for having a pink bass. Trust me on that.
No way. Real men wear pink, dude.
But it was a slippery bass, where my P bass at the time, because the pink one was the first Yamaha bass I got, but my my P bass had almost no finish on the backs, so it would grip because it was just wood against my wet shirt. So it would,
Yeah.
and the Yamaha was finished, so it would be slipping around. So I put 3 strips of black duct tape on the back. I think they're still on it too. It's in the other room, but I think they're still.
Very cool. Very cool.
Just to kind of help. At one point, I kind of tried to sand the shine off a little bit with some really fine sandpaper because it was just a little too slippery. But I didn't play that bass a lot live. I just used it for the encore, the David Lee Roth encore for the Eat 'em and Smile tour. Use it, I think, on the Skyscraper. No, on the first Mr. Big record. I think I used that bass, but I didn't use it live. I used my P bass live. So it didn't get a lot of use, but it was a cool bass.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I mean, I was going to say you move around a lot too. So it's tough when you're sweaty and on stage. I mean, your bass is like already kind of falling off of you if it weren't for the strap. So that's cool.
So much. A steady stream of sweat would be dripping off my chin, landing on the E string.
Oh, no.
So halfway through the first song, the E string is like nothing. So, and by the time I came to do a solo, the strings were completely drenched with salt water, sweat.
Wow.
And they lost all. So you had to push twice as hard to get anything out of them. But yeah, there were some athletic aspects to performing for sure.
Oh yeah, I can see that from your videos, man. All right, how about you, Sunshine?
Okay, so I know that you are known for your signature chording, your two-handed tapping, and your right hand 3-finger picking technique and controlled feedback.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about these techniques that you are so famous for?
Well, thank you. I can tell a little story, and I got to stand up for 1 minute, but it's going to be worth it. Hold on a second. I got to get something off the wall that I have mounted on my wall. 1 second.
Yeah, you're fine. You are so fine. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Bob Shooter, Teresa, Brian Anderson. I see
Michael
you,
C. Jones.
So we
give it up for Billy Sheehan and Sunshine Cantu.
Back in 1974, I saw ZZ Top open up for Alice Cooper.
Oh.
New Year's Eve, Buffalo, New York. Original Alice Cooper band, and ZZ Top was just coming into their grandeur, and they're so great. And we're watching them play, and I'm watching Billy Gibbons, and he's playing, like a, and he went, what? He bent the string and hit a note on the neck, and another note came up. Because prior to that,
wow.
you look at YouTube videos prior to the 78 or 77, nobody's touching the neck. It's almost nobody. I mean, there's always somebody somewhere in the world that did it. But that's the first time I ever saw it. We looked at each other. Wow, unbelievable. Billy Gibbons. So that's basically where I got it from. When I saw him do it. Oh, you can get a note by pulling off, too. And then maybe, what if I did? And then all kinds of crazy.
Oh, wow.
Ensued from there. So through the years, people would ask me about hammer-ons, and they would assume right away, well, you must have got it from Ed Van Halen. I go, and Ed, of course, he owns the crown of hammer-ons. There's no question about it. You see that happen a lot where one guy in the East Coast does something and one guy in the West Coast, something they didn't happen to know each other, but it happened to come that way. It's kind of a natural progression, I think. And Ed had developed a lot more techniques than I had by the time he came out. So it was a big inspiration for me when it came out. But I was doing my hammer-on shtick too. So when people would ask me, you must have got it from Ed, and I go, no. I told them the Billy Gibbons story. I saw it hit the neck, and it was amazing. And I got it from Billy Gibbons. Also got pinch harmonics, where you pinch the super high note. That's from Billy Gibbons too. So I was in LA one night, and a friend of mine called, wanted to come on down to a studio, and a friend of his was recording. He said, yeah, I'll come on down. I went there, and unknown, they surprised me, and Billy Gibbons is there. I'd never met him. I was blown away. I'm a total fanboy. And I said, wow, what a ride. I go, Billy, what a pleasure to meet you. And we sat down and talked, hung out and talked. He's a walking encyclopedia. He knows about everything. And we had such a riot talking and hanging out. And so, it was getting late. I go, I got to go, man. Thank you so much for just spending some time. And God bless you. And thank you for your inspiration. He goes, hold on a second. I got something for you. So he reaches in his bag and he pulls out an autographed picture of himself signed to me. And I said, I was blown away. I go, what? That's for me? And he must have done it before he got there because it was all framed and everything like it is now. And I go, wow, what's this? He says to me, he goes, I hear what you've been saying about me in the interviews. He goes, keep it up.
Oh, yes. That's amazing.
So that's where that came from. And then a lot of other things that I do just kind of naturally came. Some of it is like a flamenco, like when I'm plucking. I don't know how easy that is to hear or not. And
yeah, we can hear it.
A bunch of other things like these octave taps. And then arpeggiating chord things. I got this from Ed Van Halen. I remember him telling me, don't do that or don't tell anybody about it. Because he was I won't. I did. And a lot of some things borrowed from guitar players, from piano players. A lot of this, a lot of drum rudiments you play with two hands. So adapting from other instruments. And I listen to a lot of classical music, so piano, violin, cello, instruments of that nature. Learning a lot of these Bach pieces, like the Brandenburg Concertos. It's actually the Brandenburg Concertos are just a great way to play in the key of D major all over the neck. And,
yeah,
big help to me when I discovered that. And sometimes you have to force your hands to do what they need to do to play what another instrument does. Because I think that was a viola or a cello solo. I'm not sure, but they're tuned in fifths, so their spacing is completely different. So in order to adapt it to the bass, you got to do a lot of moves like that to make it happen. So most of the techniques I did, like I said earlier, came from me just trying to get as much out of the bass as I could as a three-piece band, and then also trying to mimic a lot of music that I loved that was a little bit more adventurous than average. So,
wow, that's incredible.
And then what's up with the 3-finger picking technique?
Yeah, it's well, to get obscure for a second, there was a bass player. His name is Niels Henning Orsted Pedersen. And I think he was Danish, and he's a big guy, and he played a stand-up bass. He played it like it was a ukulele. He was overpowered the bass, and he used the same 3-finger technique I've discovered recently that I do. So I'm glad to hear that because I'm at least validated by a guy who is so great. I'm so glad that he did that too, which makes me feel a little bit more reassured that I'm not going down the wrong path. I think
we can clearly say you are not going down the wrong path.
Yeah. Agreed.
But he did the same thing because most stand-up bass players play with 2 fingers like that. But he moved his hand around and did the 3. And if you look him up on YouTube, Niels Henning Orsted Pedersen, mind-blowing. Probably one of the greatest bass players to ever live. Just at 19 years old, he was playing with these jazz greats, just tearing it up. Just a brilliant player. So the basis of it is your fingers, when you're nervous about something, they have a natural, they don't go that way, or they don't go back and forth. They usually, it's kind
3,
of a
2, 1.
Why not utilize what your hands naturally do? And the hard part of it is most of the music we play is in 2 or 4. So 3 doesn't fit into that. So you got to make the 3 sound like 4 by accenting the 1.
Oh, that's cool.
So each time the accent lands on a different finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So eventually you can get it pretty speedy. Now lately I've been doing 4, but it's kind of ridiculous, and it goes by so quick. It doesn't really, it's not really musically useful. It's funny, but it's So that
Hmm.
would have like 0.0001% use in your career if you happen to figure it out, because it's not a real essential thing. But the 3-finger thing is really helpful to be able to navigate your picking hand in accordance with what your left hand is doing.
Wow.
It goes by quick, but my hands really aren't moving that fast.
Right.
I honestly believe it's within almost anyone's range to, because my fingers are just going, but it's all coordinated together. So between what my left hand is doing and my right hand is doing, it gives the appearance of blazing fast notes, but it really isn't as difficult as you might think. You start to take anything apart piece by piece, little by little, and you get and eventually, once you drill it and got it and own it, it starts to, and your goal never is to play fast, but once in a while, like any aspect of music, the speed at which you play something is part of your palette of colors, is part of your vocabulary. A fast thing, it has excitement. A slow thing is calm. You need both those things to make a movie. You need a car chase and you need a romance scene too.
Yeah.
It's they kind of work together. So the speedy stuff, though a lot of people fixate on it, I fixate myself more on a timing thing. So I'll sit down with a metronome and I just pound that for hours and get it right on the money. Then when you play with a band, you actually can get away with a lot more crazy stuff because it's in time and it lands where it's supposed to land. It's not jarring or odd. So that's helped me get away with murder. That just keep it in time, keep it in the groove, make it happen, and you can make it work. But the 3-finger technique, I'm going to start doing some more videos now that I'm not going anywhere. I got a lot of time. I really want to get down and get into the minutiae, the minute parts of why and how and what it is. And I've been studying it very, very closely as I'm practicing here a lot. And just really watching what every finger is doing and why, and noticing where my mistakes are, or where I make an error, or where I screw it up, why I made that mistake, correcting it. So a lot of the stuff I want to try to put on video for my fellow players. I enjoy helping my fellow musicians immensely. I do my master classes and do clinics, and I answer stuff. I answer so much email. It's like a time vampire. It's unbelievable. But I love doing it, and there's so many great people that have been very kind, and I also answer what I can. So I want to do some videos that really explain it. I have already, but I think the more I know about it, and the more I've explained it to all levels of people around the world, I think now I'm at the point where I can really get it across to whoever might be interested in that and help them. And a lot of times when you go after something like that, you find it's not your thing, but at least it'll maybe lead you to where you want to be. So I don't want to play like Sheehan. Okay, so you get something from him, which will open a door, and will find your path. So
yeah,
hopefully it will be of some help to my fellow musicians. There you have it.
Wow.
Oh,
Man,
wow.
you're so humble, dude. That was the best advice ever. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I like giving good advice because I see a lot of bad advice, and I see people sometimes in a situation. What do I do? What do I do now? Where do I go? There's a way. There's a way you can do it. I got to learn this thing, and hold on, let's take it back a step, piece by piece. You can do it. We'll get it. So I like to have people be comfortable and do the things they love, and help them do that. It's a cool thing.
Man, that is freaking epic, Billy. That is super cool.
You're too kind. Come on.
Oh, no. I've been a fan for a long time, dude.
So, I appreciate it. Well,
yeah, man.
As to all fans, without you, I'm nothing. Our fans are. It's really true. Without fans, where would we be? In a rehearsal place in North Hollywood somewhere. But we appreciate it. And I always say, and I don't mean to be. This is again not PR, but everything I own, the wall of bases there, all the there's a couple gaps in it for right now, uh, and my home and my car and everything like that. It comes from somebody buying a ticket, a T-shirt, or a record. And thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have it. Now we've got an exchange in. I did something that you liked and you wanted to pay for, but you could have gone and bought something you like from someone else too. But you got it from me or one of my bands, so I do appreciate that very much. It's not just PR. It's
right.
Actually how I really feel and always have felt. And
no, you are so amazing, and I know I told you this before. I might have mentioned it earlier, but literally, Mr. Big, To Be With You was the very first song I ever freaking memorized. Me and Marisa, her older brother Steve, he loved Mr. Big, Steve Vai, the whole shebang bang. And so whatever Steve listened to, we listened to. And my God, your music was phenomenal. Like Mr. Big was just a whole different band within itself. And I read a lot about how you put it together and how, you know, every band member was supposed to be equal. What was it like being in a band without a band leader per se?
Well, initially I kind of took the role as somewhat of a leader because I had already had, thankfully, some success. Thank you, David Lee Roth. We had the two platinum records, Eat 'Em, Smile, and Skyscraper. When I came into the band, Paul's band Racer X had kind of fallen apart. They couldn't get a record deal. They played around the LA, a great band, but they just didn't catch on fire. Eric had a couple of record deals, but they just never went anywhere. Pat Torpey had been in some great bands, but it's tough getting that break, you know. And so, because I came from a spot where I did happen, but for whatever reason, have some success. Initially I was the leader, but I wanted to make sure and open it up to everybody so that everybody could have an input. Because I saw what it was like. I love playing with David Lee Roth, but it was his band. And I, under his direction, which I'm happy to follow because he's righteous and he knows what he's talking about. But it's still, sometimes you're not always going to be in full agreement. But it's nice if you can contribute to it and be a part of it and be a part of the decision-making process. To leave somebody out makes them feel, and resentment starts to build, and the next thing you know, you get a problem, and then the worst can happen. So I decided to make it an equal thing, have everybody do their input and do their thing, and I think that was really, I got lucky in that decision because I was lucky to have found those three guys, and our cumulative decisions happened to be the right ones. So we rolled the dice and 7, holy cow, I had no idea. so we got lucky with it. And again, we had an amazing manager, Mr. Herbie Herbert. He's why we had a hit. He got us our deals. He got us our tours. And there's a lot behind the scenes that helped it happen. But it's wonderful to hear when people, a song like that touches them. And we go all over. That song took us all over the world, to India, to Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Korea, all over Europe, all over Scandinavia, to Russia, to all over South America, pretty much every country down there. And it's, wow. I wish on my fellow musicians, I hope you have a hit someday, man, because I wish I could have shared that experience with everybody. It is just an incredible, really a beautiful, wonderful thing. And the good thing about Mr. Big, we didn't have any complete lunatics. We're all little nuts. But
I feel like you have to be.
No drug problems, no drinking problems. So it made it so life, you know, a lot of times when people get in that situation, they have these underlying problems. They come to the surface very sad. And my heart goes out to them. But fortunately, we had, you know, straight shooters. We all wanted to do a great job, do our best show possible, get up on stage healthy and ready to sweat on the E string all night long. So
yes,
a whole bunch of things came together at the right time, at the right place, with the right people, and I'm supremely grateful for it.
Wow,
that's amazing, dude. So we have a question I want to ask you real quick, just because I love me some Paul Gilbert too. That guy, he seems very funny. And Patricio Eduardo Villarreal Gonzalez asked, is it as fun to be around Paul Gilbert as it seems? And I'm curious too.
Well, we had a riot in Mr. Big, but a lot of it was good, clean fun. And
right.
A lot of people don't want to hear that. No, tell us about the wild parties and the crazy. Yeah, we would make up games on the bus, like name 10 kinds of shark. All right, name 12 cheeses. You know, we'd come up with stuff like that. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be about any sordid details of God knows what underlying situations humans get themselves into. We actually had a blast, and we laughed our asses off, and we still to this day we get together. I think I forgot why. I think maybe his birthday or something. I sent Paul a text recently, and he wrote back, a thing happened to us once. We had to go to Germany the night before the Atlanta drill incident. This is why, because we were so tired.
Oh.
Rush had 2 days off. We got on a plane, flew to Germany, got to the show. Now, it turns out that on the show, a variety show, they had this judge from Italy that was prosecuting the mafia. So inside the building, they had these 1-inch thick steel plates everywhere in case a bomb went off. They had snipers on the roof, helicopters circling the place. So once we got in the place, we thought, we'll go do sound check, go back to the hotel, get a little, no, can't leave. Once you're in, you can't leave. So we're sitting there in a stiff little chair for about 4 hours waiting to go on. No sleep, just flew in. And they had, and they also had a person who was raising money for, sadly, for Afghan children that stepped on landmines. So we're not really and so they had the guy, I don't mean to laugh, I apologize, but thing with the landmines, yeah. And then they had the judge on with the snipers on the roof and everything. And now Mr. Big, so so we did. So the curtain came up. There was fog. They had dry ice fog. We did Hold On Little Girl. We did To Be With You. Yay! Curtain comes down. We leave. That was, and got on the plane and went home. So we were so tired when that thing happened.
Wow.
We during that incident, me and Paul, just this goofy thing happened that's not funny at all, but something struck us. You ever have something strike you so bad you start laughing, you can't stop? Yeah. We both laughed for about 8 hours sharp. It was and a side note, a not pleasant one, the judge from Italy was driving his car, and they had built a highway, and they built a bomb under the highway and left it there. And sadly, they got him.
Oh,
whoa!
That's crazy.
So,
wow.
There's a sad end to that story, unfortunately. But
damn, Billy, way to give it to us.
But it just illustrates the kind of adventures you get exposed to when you traveling around.
That's incredible, dude.
Pretty cool.
Let's see. Jay Cantor is asking, what's Billy's favorite Mr. Big bass line?
That's tough to say. There's a song called "Promise of the Moon" that I really love. That should have been a huge hit. "Lucky This Time" also is another one I really like a lot. But "Promise of the Moon," there was a little flute part in it. Of course, we didn't have a flute player, so I have a bass pedals, and you can change the sounds into anything. So I did a synthesizer flute sound. So I did the do-do-do-do part while I had to play the bass part and sing at the same time. So it was like, patting your head. And so I had to practice like a brother, and try to play the part. And finally I got it. And every night though, I'm like, oh boy, here it goes again. Hilarious, but we managed to get through it. But there's so much of Mr. Big that I love. It's hard to pick one. Sorry to say.
Well,
Wow.
I can say from personal experience, the first thing that I heard, I was like 15, new bass player, and Addicted to That Rush came on, and I was like, what the fudge am I listening to? I'd never ever pictured a bass player doing that. Yes. Oh yeah, dude.
It was kind of cool.
Wow.
The thing that made it easy is, and I hope Paul doesn't disagree with this. Maybe he would, but I don't imagine he would. He used to come see me play in Talas, because I remember there's one tall kid in the audience. Because our stage was this high. So Paul was like almost face to face with me in front. And I know he would watch my playing a lot. So whenever we do a thing that we're doing together, we kind of did a lot of things similar. So it helped to move him along a little bit. But I remember him as the Talas' opening act. And the dressing room of that place was just a little DJ booth next to the stage. So I was crowded in there with my bass practicing. I had to practice with it straight up because there wasn't enough room to put it out like that. And
Yeah.
I hear this band playing, and I go, wow, that guitar player is pretty good. And little did I know, years later, we'd be together.
Wow, that's incredible.
Cool. I had some people submit questions earlier today, and Carl Harvey, the guitar player for Toots and the Maytals, actually wanted to ask, due to the physical nature of your playing, how do you maintain your hands?
Well, they get beat up pretty severely, and I just kind of have a mindset. It's gonna hurt. It hurts. It hurts a lot. When you first start a tour, your calluses aren't developed yet, and you're hot and sweaty. So even if you do have calluses, they're soft. That string starts to cut right down through that callus and right down to where there's feeling again, and it can be tough. Same with the right hand. Years ago, I went low carb. I stick to it generally, not religiously, and that helped my joints a lot. Just a low carb, no sugar thing. I have all kinds of trouble with my wrists, and I wristbands from here to here just to hold it steady because it was just excruciating pain.
Wow.
Usually, as you get older, that stuff gets worse. It's gone, and it came from switching to low carb. So that helped.
Wow.
But still, it's kind of. I know UFC fighters last about 3 years. And then you never hear from them again. Boxers, maybe 4. Pro football, I think the average pro football career is something like, the average is about 2 years when you average it out.
Wow.
Players, because it's tough. And similarly, the physicality of a bass, not dissimilar to drums. Guitar, I'm not leaving them out, but it's a lighter touch, smaller strings. They're closer to the neck. There's certainly a lot of physical requirements for guitar as well. But bass has got these big, giant, fat strings. You got to jam them down. And I remember a couple of times, if I didn't have a saw and I had to cut wood, I'd take an old string and use it as a wire saw. And
Ooh, yeah.
So your hands are going up and down. It's like on the edge of a saw blade. So yeah, it's tough. Hot water bottle, low carb. That's helped out a lot. I get a lot of chiropractic care, and they correct my neck and shoulders and stuff, because a lot of it all comes from here too. And when we're playing, we're usually like that, we're all scrunched up, and every little nerve is jammed together. So that can affect you down here. So yeah, read some books on it, or maybe talk to a chiropractor that you trust, or a good masseuse to help work out the muscular things there. And I've done everything: acupuncture, massage therapy, you name it, in hopes of getting some miracle way to make it not hurt so much.
Yeah.
There ain't one. So.
No. I actually read about Dave Mustaine from Megadeth too. He fell asleep on a chair wrong with his arm over it, and it cut off his nerves, and he had to relearn how to play the guitar over a period of 9 months to a year. And I personally have also suffered from tendonitis just from overplaying or playing wrong. That's one thing I really admire about your playing, Billy, is you are so relaxed when you're playing. Technique is everything, and people don't realize the more often you play, the less you have to use your energy, if that makes sense. You have to be more relaxed.
I see your point, but I do know, I'm glad that I have you fooled that you think I'm relaxed, because when I'm on stage, it's really, if I jumped off the stage and jumped into the UFC cage, I'd probably win that fight. I'm kidding. I get my ass on you in about 5 seconds.
My money's on Billy.
Billy!
I'd be laying on the ground. I would purposely lay down just so I wouldn't get hit. But we really do push it hard, and I play really hard on stage. And people think I have super low action. It's not low. It's about medium. People are always surprised to pick up my bass and go, "Wow, I thought it'd be way lower than this." So but there's something to when you push that hard into it, you get that much out of it. In my mind, that may not be true in real life, but in my mind it is. So it's just kind of that excitement that you get. I love to play, and I love to play live and be on a stage, get up there, and it's just really fun. So in a way, I am kind of relaxed, because that is my real natural state. That's what I love to do. Being on deck, playing with the band, with a great crowd, or even 5 people. I've done both.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it in the world, and it's the greatest feeling there is. As both of you know, you've both been on stage. So.
Oh yeah, my favorite.
I miss it.
Yeah, me too. So Don has a question. How important is the drummer bassist relationship?
Supremely, above all else.
Tell us all about it, Billy.
What's your favorite one?
Oh,
Are you
that's
allowed to say that?
Well, Dennis Chambers is, when you ask the top drummers, well, who's really the guy? Dennis Chambers. Dennis is really like, but a lot of them are they're all so great that you can't really say one is better than the other. Like Vinnie Colaiuta, Dennis Chambers, a couple of the guys in that class. It's hard to, they're just unique now. But I'm so fortunate to play. Our original Talas drummer was a great drummer. Our second Talas drummer, Mark Miller, mind-blowing. Cross between Billy Cobham and Terry Bozzio. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And Pat Torpey, God rest his soul, was such a great finesse and time and groove. Just he was a brilliant player. I play a lot now with Ray Lugier, drummer from Korn. We have a production.
Oh yeah.
We do people's records for them and stuff like that. And he is just not only a wonderful guy, but just an amazing drummer. Greg Bissonette, like a brother to me, genius player. Mike Portnoy, really probably one of the most popular rock drummers around, and for a darn good reason. He's really in command of what he does. And our groove together, Mike and I, were on stage. It's a riot because he'll play, and I'll play, and I'll do the exact same thing that he did. And I'll look at him and he'll look at me like, how did you know? Yeah, but we just ESP. It happens with most all the drummers I play with, but me and Mike is particularly funny because I would go,
that's cool.
How did you do that? Because there's a lot of improvisation to it when everybody's improvising, but 2 guys end up doing the exact same thing, bass and drums. So the bass and drum connection, at the beginning of your question, I think is supremely important. That's the foundation on which everything is built. And I've seen the meme on Facebook. The scientists determine that bass is the most. Nope, it's the drums. Sorry, that's how it is. It's the drums. When you go to sound check, what do you check first? The drums. The studio, first thing, drums. It's all about that. And that's the foundation. That gives the singer and the guitar player and everybody else a comfort zone because they got this thing underneath them that is unshakable. 18 inches of concrete foundation. It's a beautiful, solid thing to stand on. And that actually opens them up to being more free on their instrument, and you end up getting a better song, a better performance, even though you may not be in a spotlight per se, because you're back there doing the dirty work, keeping that machine rolling, purring along. You are such an intrinsic part of what makes that happen as a bass and drum. It's not a glory instrument. I should have chosen guitar if I wanted glory.
You're glorious.
Or worse than a lead singer. So that would have been.
Oh wow!
I love bass, and I love that role. And the first thing I ever learned from the guy who started me playing was when the drummer hits the drum, you hit a bass note. And before I even owned a bass, in my mind, that was my basic understanding of it. And so thankfully that's stayed with me and carried me through many situations.
Wow. That's great advice too. Always be on the one.
Right on.
The power of the one. I believe that's a thing.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When that drum and bass hits rock solid, that's why playing it with Dennis Chambers is such a thrill, because that on the grid on Pro Tools, right there is right. But Dennis can come in a little after.
Mm-hmm.
It's still right, and he's doing it on purpose. He has full command of it. So you get this laid back groove that's not nervous and not pushy and not shaky, and it's just everything just kind of lines up perfectly. And so when I first played with him, I was ahead of him like crazy because I played white rock bands my whole life, So suddenly I'm here with a brother, and he's laying this thing down, and I realized I get it. We were in the studio doing our first record for Niacin. And Dennis did this fill in the song, and I thought, oh man, it didn't land right. I should probably say something.
Huh.
oh, wait a minute. It goes by again. No, I better not open my big mouth. That's Dennis Chambers. It's our first night here together. Come on. So I'm thinking, I'm producing a record. I got to do something. I got to take responsibility. This lick just did not land right. Just about to open my big fat mouth, and I heard it go by, and again go, it's right on.
Oh yeah.
I just didn't get it. So thank God I said, Dennis, as a producer, I think that because it was right on, and it was a great lesson to learn playing with him live. It's just a way. It's like breathing with somebody. It's quite an amazing thing. So I'm lucky to have played with great drummers, and I think I owe all of them a great debt.
I'm pretty sure they probably feel the same about you.
I
don't know. Oh man, that is so badass.
So I know your discography is huge and large and vast. I mean, how do you find time to do anything in life outside of music?
Well, oddly, there's not much that I do that doesn't include music. And I remember it used to bother me. I'd read the old rock magazines. What are your hobbies? Oh, I like to do this and golf. And I go, what are you doing? Why aren't you playing? What are you doing playing golf?
Gotta practice, man.
Oh, get out of here. So it was to drive me crazy. People would knock on my door in my apartment in Buffalo. I come to the door with the bass on. And they go, don't you ever put that thing down? And no, I don't. I'm in love with this thing. And I come down here, and it might have a bad day or whatever situations of life and a tough time. Pick it up, get to work. It melts away. It's, there are some things I do. We have a great kitty cat that we love, and I put the birds in the morning to entertain him. And we have a ride with him. We have a new home here in Nashville, and it's just beautiful. We're very close to the city, but we're also in the woods, and we have wildlife. So it's quite we're very, very lucky to have found a place like this and had the means to be able to squeak into it. So, but it's quite nice. But I'm doing a lot of home handyman stuff because I got time off and I can't play bass 24 hours a day. So I've been fixing things around the house and doing stuff like that. And so I'll find time. But there's always an instrument within 5 feet of me.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, if you're doing your handyman stuff, you can just take your drill and then go practice the bass with that.
As long as you don't put it near your face, your ear, hair, or any of that, you can play with it.
Don't let Paul near it, yeah. Don actually asked, how did you end up in Nashville?
Well, I moved to LA in '85, and it was paradise. I was in David Lee Roth's band. We were in Top of the World. We're MTV #1 video. The Rainbow Bar and Grill. Sunset Boulevard was jammed like Mardi Gras every night. Jam.
Wow.
Rock and rollers, rock bands everywhere. All the bands from LA were getting signed, and it was a boom town. Amazing. What a riot. That continued on into the late 80s and somewhat into the early 90s, and then things started to slow down a bit. And it turns out that I didn't play in LA a lot. I go to the airport to fly to where the tour started. The tour might come through LA, but we rehearsed in LA because we all lived there. But what didn't become as essential to me to be there in LA. I wasn't looking to join a band or shop a record deal because we had already established most all of that anyway. So then unfortunately, LA took a kind of a turn for quality of life with a lot of situations, sadly, that I still don't know how they're going to fix them with the homeless situation, high crime. And we were in a very, very nice neighborhood in Sherman Oaks, California, and we had home invasion robberies right next door.
Wow.
And I'm on tour. My wife's home alone. So a little nervous about that. So a friend of ours, the guy who was our A&R guy at Atlantic Records when we did To Be With You, we did I found out he moved to Nashville. So we came to visit, and he said, come on, you gotta come down to Nashville. So we came down and looked at some property and stayed in this Music City, and I had a whole bunch of other friends. Ray Legier from Korn moved down here.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of guys are here now from bands from LA. They're just flooding in because it really is Music City. and a real quality of life in Music City where people are kind to each other,
Yes.
friendly, and help each other out. And I didn't come to take anything from Nashville. I came to contribute to Nashville. And I think they sensed that. I wasn't here to just try to squeeze what I could out of them. I'm fortunate in this stage of my life. I've got much of what I've wanted, and I'd like to contribute back. So Nashville became the choice for us, and we're very glad to be here. It's safe, it's clean, it's so quiet, it's spooky. Because in LA, you hear gunshots, helicopter,
police sirens, yeah.
You're going down our street like 2 or 3 times a day, So now it's dead quiet outside. It's kind of spooky, It's kind of
yeah.
And the people here have been welcoming to us. And my wife is doing real estate now. She's helped a lot of people from LA relocate here to find a great place. And I'm older now, and I don't really go out to the Rainbow Bar and Grill. I'm older and married.
Yeah.
Those days are gone. So I don't. But I still love LA, and I got so many friends there, and it's such a part of my life and career. And that's where I went and got what I wanted from the first time I ever picked up a bass. So it'll always remain near and dear to me. But it's time to move on.
Very cool.
I want to read this comment by Brian really quick. Thank you, Brian. I've been seeing comments, and I appreciate all you guys. So Brian says, I saw Billy with DLR. Dave gave them a good amount of time to do a solo battle. Billy and Steve Vai trying to outdo each other. They were both having fun, sneaking over and turning the other guy's volume off in the middle of their solo. What?
And that was Dave's idea. It was Dave's. The first couple shows we did, I went out and did my bass solo, and Steve did the guitar solo, and we got down to about 2 shows into it. Dave's like, hey, you guys, come here a minute. He goes, it's not working for me. He goes, it's not exciting. I mean, the musicians are out there like, yeah, this is cool, but everybody else is like, are they selling T-shirts, or is there so we said, let's do something with it, and so we'll make it like a tractor pull, a battle, Steve, you go up and start playing, Bill come from behind and stop him and push him aside, do your thing, and he pushes you. But it was all Dave's idea, and I have to give Dave credit for having that kind of foresight to really be honest with himself and what's going on, and say, you know what, this is to remove myself from the show and walk in as a and don't know who the band is. I'm bored at this part. It's not exciting to me. And so we did, and it worked out great. Been imitated by a million bands since then, but it's hilarious. But it was the guy who came up with that idea.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So you guys always knew how to put on a show. Seems like you're such a showman. Like you like to just have fun, and you can make people laugh through it while also being technically extremely proficient.
Well, yeah, I think that's one thing I loved about Van Halen when they first came out. We went to see Van Halen early on, maybe 78 or 79, I don't remember which, one of their first tours, and we all went to see Ed. But then there was Dave, and we couldn't decide which one to watch because Dave was so entertaining. And the idea of a show being entertaining had kind of been lost at that time, in time. If you go back in time and forget about everything we know since then, there wasn't a lot of entertainment going on. Well, there was some. David Bowie, of course, a brilliant showman. Peter Gabriel, brilliant stuff. But as far as a straight-up rock band, it was playing and songs, and Dave and Ed really made it an exciting thing. It was a huge inspiration. The Ramones, also another band, is a big inspiration because they would play, just go so quick. They wouldn't give you time to look away. They end a song, what do they want, and go to the next song. Right away.
Hell yes.
I was seeing bands really up there and doing a cool, unique, fun, interesting, engaging thing. Then you notice that there's musicians playing. And I always say, and I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, without Dave, Ed would have been Gary Moore. And without Ed, Dave would have been Jim Dandy Mangrum.
Yeah.
No offense to either one, but Dave and the blonde hair and the Jack Daniels about Jim Dandy to the rescue. That was very much a template for Dave. Gary Moore, brilliant player, should have been way more famous than he was.
Yeah.
But never really broke out of that thing to become a household name, a household word, like Ed did. And I do think the two of them together really made that happen. And then I refuse to leave out of the equation Michael Anthony and Alex.
Oh yeah.
Too. I love Michael's voice, and his playing kills.
Oh yeah.
Alex was a genius too. So, but I think that as far as showmanship goes, that was a great lesson when we saw that the end of the '70s when we saw Van Halen go at it in that way, because the whole world had kind of gone skinny tie and haircut 100 and flock of seagulls and standing there, and then this bulldozer Van Halen
Right.
and tore the whole thing apart. So we were us club musicians slugging it on the clubs when we saw that. We were very happy.
Wow.
Very cool, man.
Okay, you guys, we've been going on here for about an hour, so we're gonna start wrapping it up because we do want to be very respectful of Billy's time. I know you're very busy, and we appreciate the time that you've given us tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much. A few more questions, and we're gonna get out of here. So somebody submitted this question earlier. Do you and Mike plan on working more with Richie? More winery dogs needed?
Yeah, the plan is to get together as soon as travel opens up and do another record. Winery Dogs is one of my favorite bands I've ever been in ever. And we have a riot planned live. Richie kills. Mike's a blast to play with. And yeah, we definitely want to do another record. And we've all spoken about it. And that's the plan. So hang tight.
You heard him, Don. Hang tight. Let's see. We got Carol in the house. Hi, Carol. I love you. Carol says, I saw Eat 'em and Smile tour in Austin, Texas, November '86, night before Thanksgiving. Cinderella opened, one of my favorite concerts. I have that album waiting for Billy's signature.
I'll do it. You just come see me at a show. Unfortunately, sometimes with a lot of the shows, they do this paid meet and greets. Sorry, I don't like them. I don't like the idea of them. But sometimes, due to the costs and economics, we got to pay the crew, we got to pay the gas for the tour bus. So I'll always, when I participate in them, I always let people know that after I'm out by the bus, and if you want something signed, so I always. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes we got to leave quick or whatever. We got a long drive or whatever. Sometimes, not always, but every time I do have the opportunity to go out and sign things and hang and talk with people and take photos for free. I do it all the time. I'm happy to do it. And so bring your record jacket to the next show or any appearance I do. I'm happy to sign it. It's absolutely my pleasure.
You are awesome.
Yes, dude, you rock.
Got you all fooled.
I literally, I had like asked the guy or all the people in Bass Kids, like, okay, I want to start doing these interviews and you know, specifically in the group, and I hit you up and you hit me up the same day, and I was trying to schedule something for like weeks later. You're like, we're doing it this week, and I'm like, holy hell, like you are so kind and just humble, and thank you. Like I had no idea.
My pleasure. That's my pleasure. I'm a lucky guy. I've been in some amazing bands, in my humble opinion, and I'm glad to help you out with your show and be on here and get you more clicks if that's the case, or less. Who knows how it's going to go.
I did it to talk to you, and actually I'm in the same boat because Sunshine was like, do you want to interview Billy Sheehan on Sunday? And it was like Thursday, and I was like, why the hell not? Love that guy.
No,
so thank you for your time, man. It has been really good getting to know you and cracking your brain a little bit.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. And, you know, when we see each other out and about, I mean, when playing starts happening again soon, I hope, you know, that's why I say to all the people that participate in my masterclass, you know, stay in touch. You know, we stay in touch on social media. Guys asked me questions today about his bass and stuff like that. So I got friends all over the world. It's amazing. I'm going to go to Thailand. There's guys I know in Thailand. What? That's great. Yeah. Some of my dearest friends, these two young ladies that travel the world to see our bands, Sujin and Sojung. They're very sweet, and they're my friends in Korea there. And in Japan, it's just amazing fans. They're Brazil, Chile, Argentina. It's just so great. So Germany, Italy. At one point, there was like 4 or 5 Mr. Big Copy bands in Italy. So pretty great.
That's pretty cool, man.
So I'm a lucky guy, and I hopefully some of the things I say, I hope people will find inspiring. I know that, like I said earlier, I wish everyone could have a hit because you really do have an effect on a lot of people. I've got folder in my email program where I keep a lot of stuff. I would never show the public, but I can at least mention them. You know, people that are in dire straits and in tough times and considering possibly even ending their life or horrible disease, and they listen to the music and they played the songs that I played on, and they got better, and it was okay, and they came around, and some of the letters will bring tears to your eyes.
Wow.
How much that music meant to them. So for me, that gives me the responsibility of continuing and offering myself easy to get in touch with and communicate with, because as musicians, both of you as well, when you play, you touch people, and you really don't realize how much sometimes, because people walk, they leave the concert, you may not know, but that could have been the worst day in the guy's life, and you came to your show and you blew him away, and you changed his life. And I've had people writing, after that show, everything was that changed my life, and I became this, and it's an amazing thing.
Wow.
The influence that music has, it's had on me. I remember hearing records that changed my course of life, and seeing shows. I saw Jimi Hendrix, my first concert.
Wow.
First show ever. Jimi Hendrix.
That's a hell of a first concert.
And I remember going to school and thinking, everything looks different. Things are different. A different world. And that's what you guys do as players, and anybody that's tuned in now that's a musician, that's a kind of power you have. It's quite an amazing thing. Certainly used for good around the world, you can affect people's lives in a very positive way. So,
wow,
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Wow. That was the most amazing advice I've ever heard. So anybody, if you ever feel bad about music, first of all, you got to know we all get there. But take Billy's words. You can change lives with it. Yes. That is amazing. Thank you, Billy. That was great.
Yeah. Music is medicine. Music is life. Music is the great healer.
Say that again. Sorry.
I said music is therapy. It's medicine. It's life. It's the great healer.
Very much. There's a book called "This Is Your Brain on Music."
Yes. I love that book.
Great. And I posted about it, and the author contacted me. He's a wonderful guy. And I remember, this isn't really a sad story, but I'll use it as my closing if you don't mind.
Okay.
My mom was into great music, a different generation, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, but great music, and it's still great to this day. So my mother was in hospice care at my brother's house, and we knew, her time was coming. And I had flown in with my wife to be there, and all the family was there. And my sister says to me out of nowhere, my mother's fading in and out of consciousness and got a little pain medication. She was doing okay, and she had a wonderful life, and it was not an unpleasant thing. We all knew it was about to happen. And my sister, Mary Ann, goes to me, put some Sinatra on. So I opened my laptop and got my hard drive out and hit the Sinatra. And my mom instantly went, oh, yeah, that was from a record. And she knew, like, who wrote the song, and instantly lucid. And like she was when she was 16 years old when she went to see Frank Sinatra play. Unbelievable. And that book, This Is Your Brain on Music, catalogs why that is, and why the music you hear from the age of 12 or 13 to 17 or 18 stays with you for your whole life. And it just goes to show the incredible, immense power. In an old folks home, find out when somebody was born, calculate when they were about 14 or 15 years old, find music from that time, and the guy in the corner, watch him come alive. Not every time, but you'll see people respond to music in a way that they don't respond to anything else, and that's why it really is the greatest art form. It touches people like nothing else. So as musicians out there, and you two as well, and myself, man, we're involved in some really wonderful stuff. I rest my case, Your Honor. Closing arguments.
Thank you so much, Billy, for hanging out with us. Thank you, Bass Bandicoot, for being my co-host. I appreciate you. All of you guys at home, everybody listening on the podcast, I love you all. Thank you all. You take Billy's advice, write it down, and study it at night before you go to bed. You guys, until next time, stay kind, stay safe, be happy, and keep rocking and rolling.
Right on.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me. Time. Wonderful.
Thank you all.
Right, y'all have a great
Sunshine and Randy, what a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We'll see you
Pleasure
next
is
time.
mine. All
Alrighty.
right. Bye, guys.
Bye.